Before we begin the reading, I would like to read a quote that I found, which really encapsulates the energy that I'm feeling for the collective at this current time. Villains and heroes have a very similar backstory. The villain story and the backstory of the hero are pain. So the difference between the villain and the hero is one thing: how they respond to that pain. The villain says, "The world hurt me, so I'm going to hurt it back." And the hero says, "The world hurt me, but I'm not going to let this happen to anyone else." How you decide to react to the pain is what causes you to be the villain or the hero. And that quote is by Donald Miller. What do we have at the foundation of the reading? Eight of Swords, Gemini energy, in reverse at the foundation of the reading. In my mind's eye, I'm seeing a jail cell door open. There's a very strong message here that you're all being liberated from something at this time. I feel that this Mars retrograde in Cancer transit that we have now just come out of was really holding on to everybody, trying to get us to learn something that was going to serve us moving forward on our path. And I feel that what that is directly connected to the quote at the beginning of the reading. Your struggles, the pain that you have encountered on your path up until this very moment, are where you find your fortune, material and spiritual. It's amongst all of that struggle where you will find the keys to your purpose and the whole reason why you're even here. There have been some very strong messages coming through in all the readings lately, which are highlighting the connection between us, our higher self, and these past versions of ourself. Before the reading, I was sitting in a meditative space, and I started to have these very intense downloads coming through that were all connected to the relationship that we keep with our future self. And I heard, your future self has a message for you. Tell your past version of yourself that I love you. And it took a few moments for me to really compartmentalize what the message was in all of that I needed to extract. And then it all crystallized. You see, our future self is the exact same thing, in my opinion, as our higher self. It's us that's a little bit further down on the timeline. It's us a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. But it knows things that we don't know yet. That's why we often hear messages about the importance of connecting to our higher self, trying to gain some sort of perspective as to what we may be in store for. But there's something that is staring us right in our face that a lot of us have yet to interface with, and that is the connection with our past self. Now, this is not the same thing as living in the past or going backwards to a previous karmic cycle that you've graduated on from. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The connection between you and your past self is what makes the you in the here and now, and obviously what makes your future self possible. I was getting messages surrounding a lot of you out there in the collective needing to sit down and make lists of traumatic events that have taken place in your life. Things that really made you feel let down, things that you haven't been able to face, things that have been swept under the rug. You know what they are. And these are things that I have spoken about in some previous readings over the course of the past few months. But the way they've given it to me for this reading is a little bit different. It makes a little bit more sense to me. And what we are all being encouraged to do right now is to really focus on healing those parts of ourself that have yet to be healed or we think don't need healing. And this is something that you're going to do by yourself. It's not something that you do with anybody else. There doesn't need to be any sort of closure that you have with another individual that may have been connected to these events. It's something that you can literally do right there, right now, wherever you are. And the impact that this will have on the you that is here right now with this conscious awareness of your surroundings and your reality is far bigger than any other single act you could possibly ever do for yourself. This is how you rewrite your own history. If you can think of yourself as this being of light that is making its way through this life cycle, and like I mentioned, you have your future self, otherwise known as your higher self, which is further down the timeline, and then your past self, which is behind you, which obviously suggests that you are the higher self to your past self. Now, if you can understand the relationship between all these versions of yourself and how important it is to keep all of you in mind when it comes to approaching your spiritual healing from a holistic perspective, you are going to start being able to jump timelines effortlessly. When you are in this space of healing, there's a potency to the connection between you and the higher order, between you, your higher self, and your past self. There's a kind of alignment that's taking place there, a kind of calibration. When you start to think about the way our environments are constructed, it makes perfect sense because it's our environments that distract us from being able to focus on doing something like this. The only thing that is holding any of you back is the restrictions that you have placed on yourself, which all exist in the mentals. Eight of Swords in reverse at the foundation of the reading. But this is what Spirit, your higher self, is working with you right now to heal, resolve, and move on from. Think of a chain that is connecting your higher self, you in the here and now, and your past self. Now think about all three versions of yourself marching in lockstep and how the different versions of you can be halted when the necessary healing hasn't taken place yet. Think about your past self just standing there, and then there's your future self just pulling with all of its might on this chain to keep moving forward. So your future self, your higher self, turns around, sends a message down to the you in the here and now, telling you to send love to your past self because there's a kink in the line. There's a disruption in the flow of energy. If you can create a visual of what that might look like for you in your mind, it should be able to allow you to compartmentalize and simplify what it is that I'm trying to convey to all of you here. What do we have? The sacred, please? Ah, perfect. Two of Cups, Cancer energy, and that's leaning a little bit more in the reverse. Now, when I get the Two of Cups in a reading like this, it's representing the connection between you and your higher self, or you being your higher self and your past self, right? But in reverse, there's a kink in the line. Exactly what I'm picking up. The messages aren't getting through. There's something here that needs to be healed. This is what this all comes down to. A lot of you are trying to move forward in different areas of your life, but you're carrying some sort of weight, some sort of baggage, some sort of burdens that are directly connected to something that has happened earlier on in your journey. And this thing is needing healing desperately. It's like a festering wound, but it's spiritual. It's on your auric field. You can't even see it, which is what makes it so difficult to address. But in the spirit, it's no different than a cut on your arm that hasn't been treated with disinfectant and bandages. And this is coming out right at that sacral position. Your sacral being all connected to your passion, your creativity, the things that you have been tasked with doing in this life cycle. But you're being held back from this. It's like you've reached a point on your path where you can't move forward until you take care of this, at least not with any sort of efficiency here. I quite often get the image of the anchor dragging on the seabed floor. This is what I'm getting here. There's something here you're going to have to face off with before you move forward. However, I feel that it's amongst the facing off with this energy that you find the key that unlocks this new timeline. It's like you're on a treasure hunt, but the key to the treasure chest is in the most unlikely space. You would never, ever in a million years think that you would have to find it back there. You see, it's a download. That's what the key is. The download comes through when you connect with this past version of yourself to heal or better understand something that may have happened to you at an earlier point on your path. This is going to send a shockwave from your past self through to your present self that's here right now, all the way to your future self, which is going to unkink the line and allow you to align and move forward on your path. And then right on the bottom of the deck, wow, unbelievable, we have the Two of Wands, Aries energy. Here you are in the here and now. Here's your future self. It's being represented by this wand here. And then this wand here is representing your past self. And see how there's that trickster energy there? That's representing the event or whatever happened. And here you are gaining perspective. Now, the Two of Wands speaks about your future plans and progressing forward. So this energy right here perfectly encapsulates the message that your future self is trying to send down the line. And then the Tower. This is the energy that is representing the breakthrough. There's some sort of destruction that is taking place, which is shifting the foundation by which you are interfacing with all three versions of yourself. And then the world. This new cycle opens up because you found the key and you step through the portal. What do we have? The solar plexus, please? 8 of Wands. Wow. Sag energy at the solar plexus. So now we have movement. Now, the way I'm channeling for this reading is a little different. I'm doing what I call hard channeling. So typically when I have downloads coming through, I have a split second to sort of think about what I'm about to articulate, and then I'll speak it. I'll try and present it to all of you in a way that's understandable, but they're not allowing me to do this for this reading. Okay, so I'm speaking very fast, and you're going to have to really think about what I'm saying and put it together in a way that makes most sense to you and your path and where you're at. Everybody is going to interface with this message differently, but that's exactly how you are supposed to receive it. There's custom-made messages inside everything I'm saying here just for you and the way you decode it. Now, the 8 of Wands here is a very clear message that there is major acceleration. The kink in the line has been removed. The 8 of Wands is one of the fastest moving energies in the tarot. Alignment happens when we make decisions that are for the greater good of our higher self in any moment. But the key to doing so quite often exists a little further back on the path. Sometimes we drop things. Sometimes we lose things. Those things can be parts of ourself. We spill out energy. We can all relate to this. We've all been through situations where you have probably verbalized to yourself, I lost a part of myself when I dealt with that situation. Those are all of the things that are going to need healing now in order to unkink the line. Now, there's no reason to feel overwhelmed when it comes to subject matters of healing. Typically speaking, there just has to be a recognition that the healing needs to happen, and then things will just begin to unfold organically. There's not a whole lot you need to do. The recognition is half the battle, and then the universe will assist you the rest of the way. Healing is a lifelong process, but usually the healing has a lot to do with us letting go of resentment and bitterness, things that create blockages in our chakra system. Our chakra system can be best represented like a tube that runs through us, energetically speaking. And all of these different events that we face on our path have a way of twisting and kinking that tube so the energy can't get through. So this is why it's very important to do the necessary healing to overcome what may be ailing you in those different areas of your life. Now, each chakra is going to be directly connected to all these different sectors in your life. Your root chakra will be directly connected to your foundation, your stability, your security. Your sacral chakra is going to be directly connected to your passion, your creativity, and your optimism for life. Your solar plexus is connected to your confidence, your personal power, you being in control of your life. Your heart chakra is connected to your compassion and your love of life. Your throat chakra is all connected to your expression, your communication, your creativity, your ability to be able to speak up without fear. Your third eye is all connected to your vision, your intuition, and being able to see beyond the veil. And your crown is connected directly to your faith and your awareness of spirit and the divine order. But the way our world is built and the way we're bombarded every single day with all of these distractions has a way of throwing us out of balance. Fear is the number one thing in our lives that can directly impact us from becoming the person that we were supposed to become inside this life cycle. What do we have at the heart? Perfect. High Priestess, Pisces energy at the heart. Right there, smack dab in the middle, between worlds. I'm seeing two paths in my mind's eye. Left-hand path, right-hand path. One path is directly aligned with your destiny. The other path is all based on fear. See, we can move with love or we can move with fear. Love is the understanding that we are connected to the all, that we are an incremental piece of evolution, and that we are here on a mission. And with that in mind, there's literally nothing to fear because you are right where you're supposed to be in any given moment. but the way we interface with those moments inside this third density, as you all know, can be very complicated. But you are being asked to remember who you are. Go back, collect those pieces of yourself, call your energy back. More often than not, we have everything we need. In fact, we end up with more of what we don't need, feeling weighed down by the everyday grind of life. We're told that there's other things that we need to find a sense of fulfillment, when this is simply not true. When things aren't adding up in your life, you need to start subtracting things rather than adding things. As humans, we are conditioned to think that we need to add things to fill a void, but in fact, adding things only makes that void bigger. You're being called to get back to basics here, whatever that means for you. And this message that I'm delivering to you. This high priestess at this heart position is representing the higher order. You are under divine guidance as we speak. The divine is working with you to help with the process of healing these past parts of yourself and collecting the energy that you have spilled out in your path to unblock, to unkink the line. I'm also hearing something here about this being collective-wide. There's a massive shift that is taking place right now that is influenced by these transits. I feel for the most part, all of you are dealing with this in some capacity in your own life. Some big, some small, but it's showing up for all of you. Even for those of you that have been on your path for a while, putting the work in, you're preparing to level up. And this is required of you at this time because none of us are perfect. None of us are healed. Yes, a lot of us are on the path to healing, but it's a lifelong effort. I quite often think about people who quit drinking, and in AA, they say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm an alcoholic." Even though that person hasn't drank for 20 years, they still know that they carry the disease of alcoholism. Very similar to how I personally compartmentalize healing. Although you are on the path to healing, you have an awareness that it's something that stays with you forever. You just have a way of finding peace with it. It becomes a part of you. It becomes part of your armor. It's a part of who you are. But you begin to wear it with pride when you start to take on this kind of perspective regarding your healing. It's no longer something that you wish to hide from, sweep up under the rug, or for some of you, maybe you're ashamed of it. It becomes something that's easier and easier to talk about, to face off with, which in turn is what turns you into a kind of healer. See, I believe that we are all healers in our own way. To be a healer, you only have to help another individual heal from what it is you have actually gotten on the path to healing within yourself. That's it. You just need to start addressing all of those parts of you that are waiting to be loved and healed. That's what makes you a healer. And your ability to show another individual or influence another individual to do the same. And then right on the bottom of the deck, I have the Two of Cups from this particular deck. See how your higher self is like, hey, are you getting the messages? You got to connect with your past self. There's a kink in the line. And then right here, this Two of Cups, the kink has been removed. The connection is open again. Your higher self and the you in the here and now. It's like, oh my God, thank God. Yeah, so I just saw that Two of Pentacles as well. That Two of Pentacles, I got a vision in my mind's eye of these wheels turning. And it's like when the kink is in the line, the wheels stop. They come to like a screeching halt. But when you unkink the line, it's like the wheels, the gears start to turn again. What do we have at the... I'm seeing the Wheel of Fortune in my mind's eye. What do we have at the throat? Too many cards. What do we have at the throat? Perfect. Death card at the throat. I'm seeing this boomerang. It's like all of this was a boomerang being pulled back. And then as soon as this death card came out, it's like it launched. See, the death card is representing the transformation. That is the phoenix that rises up out of its ashes, the ashes of the past. And see how Well, there's this mother here with their child, but when I saw that, I thought about your higher self with your inner child. There's a kind of healing taking place there, which is leading to this transformation, this rebirthing, which is what the death card represents. And there's movement forward now. The sun is coming up. Scorpio energy with that death card right there at the throat. You know, for some of you, this is going to come down to you speaking some sort of truth, or it's a kind of truth that you begin to accept within yourself, the way something happened, the way something went down. You know, there's a number of you out there that are making excuses for somebody on your path that may have hurt you. I'm picking up on something a bit dark here, but it could have to do with some sort of childhood dynamics. You were made to feel that you were less than, that there was something wrong with you, and I feel that you have carried that with you this entire time, and it's time to let that go. A lot of you were cast out, labeled as a kind of freak or weirdo or strange, but this was all because of the influence that people felt you would have if you started to understand what it is we are trying to encourage you to understand by way of this reading right now. This reading right here is your sword in the stone. This is where all timelines converge and you begin to understand exactly why you were treated the way you were. It wasn't because any of those things were ever true. It's because of how sensitive you are. It's because you are a natural-born healer. You are here for a very specific reason. And most, if not all of these people that created this energetic impact damage around your auric field were aware of what you were going to become from the moment of inception. It frightened them. It scared them. They couldn't understand, really, how it made them feel, but it felt like a light that they needed to extinguish by any means necessary. The devil worked through these people. These people aren't connected to their North Star. These people have been on the wrong path for a very long time. They're being guided by something that is lost, something that is dark, something that is a part of the dark order and the underworld, which makes perfect sense. Of course, you were going to be sent into a timeline where these were the individuals that you were going to be surrounded by. You were sent directly in to the belly of the beast because you, my friends, were to be the explosion from within the core. The way you move from here on out is going to send a massive ripple effect through these timelines, through these people's lives. They're going to witness you rise in a way that they only ever saw in their wildest dreams. These people have been at it for so long with you, they completely lost focus on what the task at hand with holding you back was all about. This has been going on for a lifetime, but it's now coming to an end. However, it requires this action from you that we're channeling through for you here. There's something massive that you're being tasked with decoding within this reading. This is your secret passage doorway out of the situation you're in, but it requires you to go inward to find it. What do we have at the third eye, please? Eight of Swords. Wow. Three of Wands. Eight of Swords, reverse and upright from two different decks. The two Eight of Swords in this reading are representing you liberating yourself from this self-imposed restriction. There's something that is right underneath your nose. It's staring you right in the face, yet it almost goes unnoticed. Your mind has convinced you not to pay attention to something, but when you begin to see it, you start to realize just how much it's been holding you back. You start to see that it was indeed creating that energetic drag all along, but you couldn't see it because it was all happening in spirit. Your future self was calling back to the you in the here and now, telling you, hey, your past self is carrying too much weight. I can't pull the line. I've come to a complete standstill. These things have to be released. These things have to be addressed before we can move forward. You cannot become the greatest version of yourself that you have been willed with becoming in this life cycle until you face off with those past demons, whatever they may be. See, a demon is just another way of speaking about unfavorable kinds of energies that have a way of holding us back. Sure, they can show up in people in the form of behavioral patterns or treatment towards us. It can show up as our own treatment towards ourself, our own limiting beliefs, or the story we tell ourselves without even realizing that it's actually holding us back from becoming who we were always meant to become. And see how in this Eight of Swords, it's like that is your past self, and this is you in the here and now. It's like you're going back, releasing yourself, right? Cutting off all of the things that are restricting you. And then this Three of Wands right there at the crown. Aries energy is you now moving forward. It's an energy of foresight. We saw the Two of Wands earlier on in the reading on the bottom of one of the decks. And this Three of Wands is that energy evolved. The eagle has taken flight. And what's interesting here, I feel that that eagle right there is representing you in the here and now. And it's like this is your past self. Past self is sending you off. Like, thank you. Thank you for healing me. And see how there's these wands representing future self, present. But then there's a third wand here. It's like that third wand is what your past self is gripping onto. So that is the past self to your past self. Just like your higher self has a higher self. It's infinite. I just heard the circle has been complete. And I'm seeing this circle of dominoes in my mind's eye. And they fall in a perfect pattern. Whereas before, they would fall, but then one would just slightly get out of line and not allow the others to fall. This is just a representation of the cycle of life. What do we have at the foundation of the reading, please? And there's that Wheel of Fortune. Saw that in my mind's eye further back in the reading. Sag energy at the foundation, right underneath that Eight of Wands, confirming everything that we have channeled through up until this point to be absolutely true. The Wheel of Fortune from this deck represents an energy of some sort of negative external force that is trying to hold you back. That's that energy of feeling like you're stuck in a rut, or nothing ever goes your way, or you have reached a certain dead end on your path. But it has nothing to do with anything that you have done wrong, so to speak. It all has to do with something that has been left unaccounted for, is what I just heard very clearly. And that is that energetic spillage that I was speaking about. The Wheel of Fortune, read in its positive polarity, represents your destiny and the life cycles. Like I was mentioning with this Three of Wands, the cycle had been complete. I just heard you need to retrace your steps, but it's not literal, it's metaphorical, it's spiritual. What do we have? The Sacral, please? Landed perfectly in that spot. The Chariot, Andros, Cancer energy at the Sacral, further highlighting this message from your higher self. Hey, what's going on back there? There's a kink in the line. And here's that kink. This Chariot from this deck is representing some sort of issue with this movement forward. It's also an energy of giving up. There's some principalities I'm picking up that are at play here. It doesn't surprise me at all. Some of you may need to address some things in your environment that may be holding you back. Something is disrupting your focus. I'm actually feeling it right now. I can feel something trying to take the message away from me. You know what this is? It's one of these situations where you're focused on your spiritual healing and then you just kind of lose interest or you just kind of give up on it. That's what I'm getting here. Something is left unfinished. It's like putting something down when you're in the middle of working on it. You see, the strongest souls are sent into the darkest of places, and I feel that this is exactly what I'm picking up here for you. Whether or not this is literal or it's speaking metaphorically for what you've had to endure on your path, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, it's all relevant. We're all tasked with going into different spaces and dealing with different sort of situations on our path. But whatever the case here, You're a sleeping giant, and you're being called to wake up to your divinity and the power that Spirit is wanting you to wield at this time, the power that you find within the healing. That is all of our purpose, first and foremost, healing. Everything else is secondary. And it's such an interesting thing when you process that. Our purpose is to get on the path to healing first and foremost. But it's our environments that cause the damage that requires us to be healed in the first place. We're birthed into these life cycles with the knowing, prior to even coming here, that we will be damaged upon inception in order to become the healer. You have to experience the darkness to know what the light is when you find it. You have to feel the pain to embark on the journey toward the healing. In order to be fixed, it would suggest that you need to be broken first. And then right on the bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Wands. So Eight of Wands. Okay, so the Eight of Wands from this deck is the opposite of this. It's complete stagnation, delays. What do we have at the solar plexus, please? What do we have at the solar plexus? Death, Lilith. So we have the Death card twice now. Different Death card, though. This is read as Death card in its negative polarity. So an energy, again, stagnation. It may as well have been that Eight of Wands that I just saw. They read exactly the same. This is that energy of feeling stuck, like your hope has been destroyed. It's an energy of not being able to move forward or recover. It's an energy of inertia, just a tendency to remain completely unchanged because you don't see a way out, which again is why you're being called to go inward. That's how you find your way outward. This energy feels very familiar to me. I remember feeling this way. And when I was guided to go inward, a whole new world opened up to me, something that I had never accessed in the way I did in that time in my life, something that I had no idea even existed. Sure, I may have heard about it, but it was completely different when I began to experience it. Your waking life becomes this kind of maze, this matrix that you keep finding yourself hitting the outer barrier of, like you can't move forward. Something's not right. This can't be it. This can't be what's happening. This can't be a reality. There's no way out. What do we have at the heart, please? And then we have the Fool, Cameo, ignorance. So the Fool card from this deck is further emphasizing this energy of feeling stuck, feeling resistant to change. This is a very heavy energy here. A lot of you are dealing with this right now. You feel this. It's like an energetic weight. It's like an equation that you can't solve until you stand on your head and you look at it differently. Perspective. And this is also speaking about the need to go inward, right? You've tried every which way in your outward, in your exterior environment, and you keep hitting a dead end. But what you don't realize is that when you interface with spirit, your higher self, and the divine, by harnessing your inner guidance, there's a whole secret map that is presented to you on how you're to navigate these situations in your waking life. See, everything that you're dealing with in your waking life is actually a holograph, and you see that very clearly when you start to access your guidance in the way that I'm speaking of here. But they don't want you to know that, whoever they is for you. And then we have the Ten of Wands, Nanuel, Sag energy, and right there, it says spiritual communication, right? So further confirmation around what I'm saying here about this communication between you, your higher self, and this past version of yourself, unkinking the line. I cannot say that enough because I feel that that's going to allow all of you to have that visual representation, which is going to be everything. In fact, somebody out there is going to draw a picture of that or paint that. I saw it. This Ten of Wands right here at this heart position underneath this High Priestess is this energy of complete liberation and freedom. See, the Ten of Wands is an energy of stress, burdens, exhaustion. It's the heaviest card in the tarot. But from this deck, it's the opposite of all that. This is you letting go of all that, finally embracing your freedom and saying no to these principalities, these limiting beliefs, whatever that represents for you, and moving forward on your path. This right here is a war that is taking place within you. It's a war between your higher knowing your higher self and the guidance that is being channeled down to you, and that part of you that feels like you can't go on anymore. The voices in your head, which aren't even yours, that are telling you that there's no point. I just heard very clearly, this is a war for your purpose. Hermit, Virgo energy, Ivamia, Word of God creating all, alchemy and transformation, rules, natural events, helps with spiritual progress. Unbelievable that this card just followed everything I said, because we're talking about you going inward to find your way outward, right? And that's exactly what the Hermit card is. The Hermit is all about you seeking understanding by going inward for clarity. It represents your inner guidance, your inner compass. And it's right underneath this Death card. See, these are the keys to transformation. Death card stacked with Hermit, very powerful. They're working in tandem here to pull forward this breakthrough. What do we have at the third eye, please? Wow. I feel like he's been coming out quite a lot in the readings lately, and he seems to always come out right there, if memory serves. So I'm not surprised to see him. The devil, Samael, and look, he's shuffling off. See, the devil is representing whatever this is for you, that limiting belief. It's a mindset. It's a kind of consciousness. So you being stuck in that energy of, what's the point? What's it all for? That's a devil kind of mindset. It's a devil kind of consciousness, because it's stopping you from becoming the person that you're always meant to be in this life cycle. It's an energy of fear. It's that energy of depression, anxiety, and just making you feel like there's no point to anything. That's what you are being liberated from here. And this is all directly connected to this healing that needs to take place between you and this past version of yourself, which is just a more complex way of saying you need to do inner child healing. Probably the number one thing you can do for your spiritual evolution is inner child healing, shadow work. There's a reason why you always hear people speak about it. Usually people don't speak about it in this kind of depth here, but hopefully this can drive the message home so you can see how truly important this is. It's crucial. It is literally the difference between you aligning with your north node or your south node. Your north node being your destiny, the direction you're supposed to go in this life cycle. And then obviously the south node is where you've already been. Your south node is what is trying to pull you back. What do we have at the crown to close out the reading, please? Oh, I'm so happy that this card came out, because it puts so much weight behind this message. Wheel of Fortune, Raphael. God has healed. Healing heals all disorders, protects travelers and medical workers. Now, as you can see, we have the Wheel of Fortune in its negative polarity, and we have the Wheel of Fortune in its positive polarity. And I was speaking about the Wheel of Fortune earlier on in the reading. I saw it in my mind's eye, right? Now, the fact we're getting it to close out the reading is showing us very clearly that the wheels begin to turn again. You align with your higher self and destiny. You align with your north node. You unkink the line. This is 100% effective. A lot of you are going to take this message, compartmentalize it in your own way, and it's going to supply you with what you need to get this breakthrough. Listen to this reading with an open mind. Allow the messages to absorb into your psyche. Allow them to push back the barriers of the reality that you have been confined to inside this kind of matrix we are living in. Open up to the vastness of this new map and what is possible here. This Wheel of Fortune is literally representing your divine blessings and fortune. It is on the other side of all of this. And I'm seeing those wheels that I saw that had come to a screeching halt. They're beginning to move again. They're creaking, they're turning, and it's all a result of what you are being guided to do here. This is far bigger than you can possibly begin to even understand. But rather than thinking about how the actions you're being guided to take here may affect the greater good of mankind in your reality, I highly recommend that you just follow the guidance and deal with the task at hand in this very moment, as to not feel overwhelmed with the greatness of your purpose and what you have been assigned to accomplish inside this life cycle. Okay, this is what I have for all of you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and also don't forget to turn on your notifications, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care.